Chapter 6.5. Again, we're still factoring. This time they included all 7 methods together, and we must be basically not very good, how about decent at recognizing which form we must use for factoring. So we're going to look at 4 problems from the chapter review on page 486. We're going to start with number 49. It says x to the third power minus 8x squared plus 7x. Well, the first thing you should always remember is GCF. What do these guys have in common? Well, the lowest exponent is x. So the lowest exponent is a 1. So I'm going to take out an x, and I have x squared minus 8x plus 7. And then I get to look on the inside here, and I still need to factor this. So I still have an x on the outside, but now I need to factor the actual inside of the group. So let's see here. There are 3 terms, and the leading coefficient's a 1. So I'm going to factor it using the a, b, and c. Well, a is 1, b is negative 8, and c is 7. And that, of course, leads us to our product, which is going to be 7, and a sum of negative 8. Therefore, my factors, the factors that multiply together give you 7, but add together to give you negative 8 are negative 1 and negative 7. Now, since my leading coefficient is a 1, I can just take these factors and write out my entire answer, right? Now, do not forget the x is on the outside, so he's still there. And then it literally is x minus 1 times x minus 7. And you look inside each group. Do they have anything in common? Nope. Anything in common? Nope. So this is factored. Now on to number 64. Well, I look at this. It has 2 terms. So this reminds me of what I learned in 6.4. We learned all types of forms. We learned a squared minus b squared is the same as saying a plus b times a minus b. We learned that a squared plus b squared is prime. And we also learned about a to the third power minus b to the third power and a to the third power plus b to the third power. Well, this guy, if you look at his exponent, it is even, and 1 is a perfect square root, and it's subtracting, so it's in the form a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. And like before, the first term helps you determine a, so a is just going to be x squared, and the second term helps you determine b, which is just going to be 1. And then all you do is fill in your answer. So you have x squared plus 1 times x squared minus 1. And then you pause and you need to check over to see if anything else needs to be factored. When you look in the first group, again, the power is even and 1 is a perfect square root, but there's a plus sign right there. Therefore, this guy cannot be factored anymore. However, again, this power is even and 1 is a perfect square root, and it's subtracting. So I actually can still factor this piece. So the x squared minus 1 still needs to be factored. So again, I'm looking at the form a squared minus b squared. The 2 is still even, and 1 is still a perfect square. So again, the first term helps you determine the a, and that is x. And the second term helps you determine the b, which is just 1. So then when you write your final answer, do not forget about the x squared plus 1. He is still on the outside. And then I'm going to fill in this piece, right? So this piece right here is going to be replaced. So now this becomes x plus 1 times x minus 1. And again, look in the other groups. Do these guys have anything in common? The x and the 1? Nope. The x and the 1? Nope. So it's factored completely. Alright, off to number 72. So now I have x to the 4th plus 125x. Well, again, notice I have 2 terms, and they have something in common, so I must factor it out. So I'm going to factor out an x. So now I have x to the third power plus 125. X to the third power plus 125. This time, I'm looking at the form a to the third power plus b to the third power is a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Now, how do I know it's in that form? Well, first of all, the power is 3. Perfect match. And it's adding. Therefore, I'm going to add. Alright, so again, I need the a and the b. And this comes right from 6.4. So the first term helps you determine the a, which means a is just x. And the second term helps you determine the b. And the cube root of 125 is just 5. Now, if you feel like my pace is too fast for you, it's because this comes from chapter 6.4. So if you need a refresher on these forms, please watch the video on 6.4. 6.5 is only about recognizing which form to use and to actually factor completely. Alright, so now I'm going to use the a and the b and just basically fill it in. Now do not forget the x on the outside. He is still there. So the x is there, and then it says a plus b, so it's x plus 5. Then it says a squared, that's x squared, minus ab, 5x, plus b squared, which is 25. And that is factored completely. The great thing about this form, as well as the a to the third minus b to the third, is that you can trust that these pieces right here cannot be factored anymore. You literally stop once you do this. Once you've actually done this piece, you do get to stop. Alright, let's try number 76. This time I have 4 terms. Well, we talked about this. If you have 4 terms, you have to do grouping. So you group the first 2 together, and you group the last 2 together. Then you take the GCF out of the first group, and the GCF out of the second group. Then you notice that your parentheses are exactly the same. So again, you factor it out. And this time, you are left with x plus y. And look in both groups. The x and the 7 have nothing in common. The x and the y have nothing in common. Therefore, it is also factored completely. If you need a refresher on the methods of factoring, please watch videos for 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4. And also let me know if you have any questions.